There are plenty of urban myths out there of certain Hermes pieces that rumor has it, if you're willing to buy, you're almost guaranteed to be offered a Birkin or Kelly bag on the spot, some of which we have looked at before, but today that list continues with your additions. I asked you over on my Instagram to send me pieces that you've heard of people buying purely to get their hands on their dream bag. And I have to be honest, most of the pieces that you sent me, I do agree with. I too believe that most people, not everyone, but most people buying these are only getting them because they believe these to be a shortcut to a quota bag. But are there really Hermes pieces that you can buy that will accelerate your journey? And if so, what are these pieces? And do I have any experience with them? Well, if that sounds interesting to you, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. And keep on buying. I don't want to lead you on for a single second, so let me just get this out of the way. Based on my experience of buying Hermes for a decade, I do not believe that there is a single magical piece out there that you can buy that will guarantee that you get offered your dream Birkin or Kelly bag on the spot. Now, obviously, if you are clearing shelves and you're spending thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars at Hermes on a monthly basis, that will help you be taken more seriously and that can get you into good books. But at that point, I really don't think it matters whether you're buying furniture or ready to wear or fine jewelry. It's much more about buying things that you actually appreciate the look of. People believe that buying furniture is the easiest way to get your hands on a dream bag. And yes, it might help you buying furniture, but it's not because furniture is that special, but purely because they are high ticket pieces. So if you buy one of those, that will really boost your profile and you don't have to buy quite as much as you would have to do with other ranges, because obviously ready to wear is rarely as expensive as a piece of furniture. So you would have to buy a lot more ready to wear to spend the same amount of money at Hermes. I don't really think it's about the métier that you buy. It's more about the quality of the pieces that you spend your hard-earned money on. But I do not think that you should be buying things that you do not like the look of. At this point, there are so many resources out there and so many places that you can get bags, and actually really good ones. Now, I would only suggest that you turn to the pre-loved market or resellers if you feel comfortable with the places that you're getting your pieces from. I would never suggest that you buy something that you're not 100% confident in, but I feel like you can actually save not only a lot of money, but a ton of time by buying pieces on the pre-loved market if you really have no interest in exploring anything else that Hermes has to offer. But if you have a genuine appreciation for the brand, their heritage, their craftsmanship, and most importantly, their aesthetic, it is worth the wait. And I wouldn't worry about buying things that will get you back quickly, because I don't think those things exist. But trying to find pieces that you actually can use and enjoy, and good things are worth waiting for. Hermes is not one of those brands that tends to have a huge surplus of pieces. It's not like they have pieces in stock in a ton of different colors and sizes. So even if you spend a ton of money on Hermes, or at Hermes, I should say, it's possible that it will still take you months, if not years, to get your hands on something truly special. So if you're really specific with what you're looking for, keep in mind that it can take some time, and it's not necessarily because Hermes is playing games or because they're making you wait, but a lot of these things are rare and not a lot of boutiques get them. And when they do, they usually get one or two pieces, and they have to be allocated to those who have had a long-standing relationship with the brand. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. I don't believe that a single piece on this list will get you a bag on the spot, or at least not the bag that you are asking for. Of course, if you spend a lot of money at Hermes, it's possible that they will release a bag to you right away, but you also have to get lucky to find a bag that is actually on your wish list. Now, if you're really open and you're not picky when it comes to colors, sizes, and leathers, obviously it will make your life a lot easier. But again, I would like to emphasize that you shouldn't buy things because you want a bag. Buy things that you actually appreciate the look of. And if you are desperate to get your hands on a bag quickly, Don't forget about a pre-love market. I don't think it's something that should be looked down upon. However, you want to do your due diligence and you want to make sure that you only get pieces from places that you can trust. I do have a series of videos on how I would approach getting pieces pre-loved, which I can make sure to have linked up here for you. But without further ado, let's move on to the list of pieces that you send me. So these are things that you've heard of people buying purely to get their hands on their dream bag. And all of these pieces I am familiar with. Some of them I like the look of, while others not so much. And you know, even though there are some great pieces here, let me tell you, none of these will guarantee that you can get a bag on the spot. But if you're looking for some really special pieces, there might be some here that you want to put on your wish list. But let's start with some more outrageous and also more random purchases, which I do believe most people are buying because they want to get a bag. I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there who will genuinely appreciate the craftsmanship and the ethos of these pieces, but I don't think that goes for everyone buying these pieces. Something that I notice pop up quite often is the different games that Hermes offers. The two most popular submissions were the Mahjong set and the chessboard, but the Hermes game collection is actually quite expensive. They offer things like poker sets. They even have a pool table that will set you back, I think, close to $300,000. And we could definitely do a video on some of the most whimsical, most outrageously priced Hermes pieces. If that's something that you would like to see from me, let me know in the comment section. Today we will not be focusing on the most pricey pieces necessarily, but the ones that you have noticed people buying over and over again. But we can definitely do a video on some of the most ridiculously priced ones, some of the most eccentric Hermes creations, like the pool table. But the first one that I saw pop up was the Mahjong set. Now Hermes actually offers several different Mahjong sets. I think there are two of them that are quite popular. There is one that's a little bit more conservatively priced at just under $13,000, which actually comes in several different colors. This is, I think it's called the Macau Mahjong set. Now, I personally don't know how to play Mahjong, even though I took Mandarin in college. I could never get the hang of the character, so unfortunately I could never play Mahjong, so I'm not the most familiar with the rules of the game, but I can explain to you the look and the difference between the look of the two different types of Mahjong sets that Hermes offers. So they have the Macau Mahjong, which comes in at just under $13,000. And this Mahjong set is actually made of, so the box itself is covered in Swift, and then depending on which colorway you go for, some of them will also feature a little bit of lizard. And then the actual Mahjong tiles, which I think there are 148 Mahjong tiles. I might be wrong about that, and if I am, please correct me in the comment section, but I believe there are 148 Mahjong tiles when it comes to the Macau set. Each and every single Mahjong tile is made of solid mahogany wood, and they are hand carved, which I feel like it's not quite as well known as the other Mahjong set, which launched many years ago at this point. It's one of the most iconic and most eccentric Hermes pieces, which is the so-called Helios Mahjong set. This is a lot bigger than the Macau Mahjong set, and the box is actually made of rosewood, and it has this beautiful Swift inlay, which is where the name Helios comes from, because it has this almost sunray-like print. And unlike the Macau set, which comes with simple wooden tiles, the tiles in this set are actually hand wrapped in buttery soft leather, and it is considerably bigger than the Macau set. Now, as most things in life, the bigger, the more expensive, because this Mahjong set is not for the faint of heart. This would set you back over $41,000. Yes, you heard that right, $41,000. Now, this is something that Hermes has been offering for many years at this point. I'm not sure if they are continuing to produce more of them, or if they have a handful of them floating around out there that they've been trying to get rid of for years, because it's definitely not made for the public. It's made for the connoisseur, the Hermes collector, who really doesn't mind spending money on the most special pieces. So the Helios Mahjong set is quite an iconic collector's piece that can be yours for over $41,000. But if you don't feel comfortable spending quite that much money, but you feel comfortable spending just under $13,000, don't forget that they also have the Macau set. And then the other board game that I saw popping up is Hermes chessboards. Now, if you would like to get their top of the line full-size chessboard, that will set you back over $16,000. I think it's $16,900 to be exact, which features a solid mahogany wood case, a leather base, and then each pawn is actually hand sculpted. And then they have different variations of this. They also offer this chessboard without the leather detail, which I think is almost exactly half the price. And they even have travel size chessboards. If you are a huge chess fan, you never want to be without your Hermes chessboard, you can buy travel size versions of their chessboard for only a few $1,000s. But as I mentioned, the game range is quite large. So if you would only like to dip your toes into the world of Hermes games, I would highly encourage you to look at their playing cards. They have different decks of cards with different prints and in different colors, which can be yours for a couple $100s, which is an insane amount of money to spend on a deck of cards. But you know, if you love your games and you're looking to start your Hermes game collection, their cards could be a fun way to start or infuse a little bit of Hermes into your home. I was trying to think if I know anyone who owns the Mahjong set, but I really don't think so. I have seen this Mahjong set, the Helios Mahjong set, a handful of times. The first time I saw it, it was in Vegas. I saw it at the Crystals Mall. They had one on display. And I remember asking the person that was helping me if they ever actually sell these pieces, and she said that they had this piece in stock for quite a while. There was one person who was interested in it, but she was only willing to buy it if she could get a bag as well. And I remember her saying that she did ask her manager if they could release a bag to this person. They looked at her profile, but because she was actively shopping in LA, the manager was not willing to release a bag to that person because they did not want to poach a client who was shopping somewhere else. So I don't believe that person ended up buying the set because she could not get a bag on the spot. So that's kind of my experience with this Mahjong set. It's not something that I own, and it's not something that I actually know anyone who owns. However, there is one piece that a couple of my friends bought in the past, and I could never wrap my head around why they would do that. But another piece that a lot of you talked about is the Hermes horse range, which actually includes several different pieces. It's part of the Hermes baby or kids collection. The two most popular pieces in this collection are the Hermes rocking horse, which I think comes in at over $5,000 at this point. It is a handmade, extremely creepy looking horse. And then they also have the Hermes plush toys, which have been around for years. And these plush toys, I remember there was a point in time when people genuinely believed that if they bought one of these, they would be offered a bag on the spot, or it would really help their chances with getting a bag, which I do not believe. I have a friend who has the rocking horse. I remember going to her apartment a few years ago, and don't think I am talking about her behind her back. I said this straight to her face. I could not wrap my head around why she would buy a rocking horse and then put it in her living room when she's not a fan of horses. She doesn't have a kid, and it really has nothing to do with her personal aesthetic, but she really believed that that's the piece that would secure her dream bag. Let me tell you, it did not. She did eventually get a bag, but it wasn't because of the rocking horse. It's purely because she continued shopping at Hermes. And I told her that it's not a piece that I would want to see in a dark alley because it is so creepy looking. And really the same goes for the plush toys. So the Hermes plush toys they used to come in two different sizes, in an extra small and a small. And at this point, I think they start at just under $700, which it's crazy to think that a plush toy, some people, quite a few people are willing to spend almost $700 on a plush toy, and also a plush toy that, in my humble opinion, looks possessed. I mean, if you look into the eyes of these plush toys, it is going to be quite a scary experience. And I really don't see where you would put these things. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you have a kid, go ahead and put it in their room, but would you put this on your coffee table? Would you put this on a bookcase in your home? I think it would be quite a weird accessory to have because it really doesn't look expensive or refined in any shape or form. And unless you are a big fan of horses, which if you are, ignore me. If you love horses, I completely understand why you would be attracted to these things. But otherwise, if it has nothing to do with your personal aesthetic, if it doesn't reflect your style, it would just stand out like a sore thumb in your home. And for that kind of money, you could get yourself a beautiful lamp, a piece of art, you could get yourself a nice bowl or a beautiful coffee table book to put on your book or on your shelf rather than this random plush toy, which I can tell you will be a dust magnet. So I personally don't get it. I do not like the Hermes range across the board. If you have a child and they are into horses, go for it, spend your money on whatever you want to. But otherwise, if you don't like horses, there are so many other pieces that you can spend your money on because these things will not do any more for you than a pair of shoes, a t-shirt, or a piece of jewelry would. And speaking of horses, a lot of you submitted the saddle box as something that people were buying purely to get their hands on a bag. And I have to be honest with you, this is a piece that I am actually a huge fan of. I did have the cardboard saddle box in my apartment in New York as a nightstand, and I do think it is a really fun piece to have in your collection even if you don't have a saddle. Now, obviously, if you're not a fan of this aesthetic, if you don't like the way they look, don't get them, get yourself something else at Hermes. But if you actually appreciate the aesthetic, I think that these are an amazing accessory to have in your home. Depending on which size you pick them up in, you can use them as nightstands, you can put them next to your couch and use them as a side table. I was actually considering buying some of the larger ones and putting them by my front door almost as a console. So I do think that there is a lot you can do with these. The range includes two different sort of collections. So you do have the storage box, which is actually made of recycled cardboard, each one featuring a metal lid and two handles. The boxes range between $600 and $800 and they come in three different colors. So they come in navy blue, orange, and red, but I do think it comes in a different shade of red now than the red that it used to be available in. My personal favorite in this collection was the navy blue one, and I think it makes the perfect aesthetic storage solution. So if you are looking to hide things, maybe if you're looking to hide your orange boxes, this would make an amazing storage piece that would also add an aesthetic touch to your home. So I am a huge fan of these. The mechanism and the metal lid isn't the most refined. Is it overpriced? Yes, it is 1000% overpriced, but I do appreciate the way these pieces look. And if you are looking to spend a little bit more money at Hermes, if you're looking for something a little bit more substantial, the other range within the saddle box range is the so-called carousel saddle box. I am a huge fan of this collection. It comes in two different sizes. You have the original carousel and then you have the mini version, both of which are made of a really thin sheet of metal, and they feature this sort of laser cut H pattern and also an embossed Hermes SA emblem, which is the emblem of their equestrian line. They come with a solid oak wood lid, which features this incredible pattern. I think the lid on this piece is my most favorite detail. And then they also come with a removable felt pouch. So if you're actually going to use these in the stable to store your grooming essentials or your actual saddle, you do have this felt liner that you can take out and actually put in the washing machine if you need to. I think it is one of Hermes's most beautiful home pieces, even though it's not technically part of the home range. But I love the look of these. I love the details. The laser cut pattern I think is really subtle, and it is just a really modern and kind of almost brutalist piece, which if you know me, you know that I am a huge fan of that sort of aesthetic. But this piece is not for the faint of heart again, as most pieces in this video, because the mini size I think is just under $4,300, whereas the large size will set you back $4,800. But I do think that for that kind of money, you are getting an extremely substantial statement piece that you will have in your collection for a lifetime. So if you're looking to infuse your home with a little bit of Hermes and you appreciate this sort of aesthetic, I don't think you need to be an equestrian. You need to have a settle in your life that needs storing, because there is so much that you can store in these. I think these would look beautiful by your front door. You could again put them in your living room. You could even put a vase or something on it. I think it is just a great piece that you can do so much with, and it also adds a little bit of storage to your home. I haven't even thought of these, but quite a few of you mentioned the Hermes lipstick cases, which I do agree with. And personally, I would also include the entire Hermes beauty range here, because you know, I have tried a handful of things from the beauty line. Obviously, they are not targeted at me, their products, because I am not a makeup wearer. So you do have to take my review with a grain of salt. But I tried their tinted moisturizer, which I really did not like, but I really don't like the feel of anything tinted on my skin. So that wasn't for me. I went through one of their mattifying powders, because that's the one thing I always use when filming, just sitting here in front of all these studio lights. I need a little bit of powder to mattify my skin so I don't look overly glossy. And the powder was fine, but I would never consider repurchasing it, even though it's refillable, so I could just buy a refill. I really wouldn't, because I find even the refill too expensive for what it is. Their lip balm I really enjoyed for quite a while, but to be really honest, compared to my Glossier lip balm, I don't think they really even compare. So that's something that I am not as much of a fan of as I used to be. Their lipsticks and their nail polishes I have never tried myself, but I bought those as a gift for friends and loved ones, and you know, they were all fine, but there isn't anything really special or innovative about them. And for the kind of prices they charge, they should be really quite special, and I think they're nothing more than decent. I know a lot of people like the pieces that they have and they continue using them because they spend all this money on these pieces, but I don't think it's anything to go crazy for. And when it comes to the lipstick cases, Hermes has several different lipstick cases at this point, but I think the two most popular ones are the lipstick sleeves, which they offer I think in goatskin, in Swift, and even Lizard. Those start at $350, which really look like something that you got given with your lipstick. It really doesn't look expensive or refined in my opinion. In fact, it looks identical to the dust bag that you get with your lipstick when you buy one, so I really would not spend the money on it. It makes a cute gift, but I don't think it's something that you need to buy for yourself. And then they also have these little trunks for lipsticks that come with a built-in mirror that I think they offer in Madame leather, which are $580, and these are their more basic lipstick cases. They have some more intricate designs, some solid trunks, and even pendants that you can wear around your neck and also store your lipstick in, which, you know, the sky's the limit with those pieces. But really, these are the kind of things that I would not spend the money on unless you're really into your beauty routine or you really enjoy organizing your bags. These are really things that I think you could live without. I mean, you could live without all these things. You do not need Hermes in your life, but this money I think could be spent on things that you would get a lot more use out of. I couldn't tell you how many times over the years people try to convince me to invest in Hermes watches. I never have, and I don't see myself doing it anytime soon. And it's not because I don't like the look of some Hermes watches, but I find them to be extremely overpriced for what they are. But a lot of you said Hermes watches. I know a lot of people believe that the easiest way or the quickest way to boost their profiles is to buy a watch, which sure, if you buy an expensive watch, that will definitely add to building your relationship, but I don't think buying a watch is any more valuable than buying anything else from Hermes, and I think their watches are just overpriced for what you get. but the most popular watch range from Hermes is the so-called Ush collection. I hope I pronounced that right, which of course features the iconic Hermes H. This collection starts at just over $3,000 in the mini size in stainless steel with a basic leather band, and it goes up to $30,000 plus because they do make these watches in solid gold, set and dripping in diamonds. One of the most interesting iterations of this watch that I have seen in the recent past was the so-called Perspective Ush, which not only features diamonds but also a black lacquer detail, and this watch is only available in rose gold. It's one of the so-called exceptional watches that Hermes offers. All of their watches feature their unique mechanisms that are built in-house in Switzerland. So they're very proud of their watchmaking heritage, but I still don't think that they can be mentioned on the same page with some extremely well-established timepieces and houses that specialize in making watches. But that's just my personal opinion. I am not an expert on watches. I can only share with you what I would feel comfortable spending my money on. And Hermes watches are not it, at least not directly from the store. I would definitely consider buying some special watches on the pre-loved market. Why? Because these watches don't hold their value, so you can get them for a fraction of the price on the pre-loved market, including the Ush watches. One thing that I would not buy from Hermes when it comes to fine jewelry, well, one of the pieces that you mentioned was the Kelly bangle. You said that a lot of people are buying the Kelly bangle because they are trying to get a bag, which I do agree with. You know that I am not the biggest fan of the Kelly bangle. I find them quite uncomfortable. I think it's hard to find a size that fits you, and because they're solid bangles, you do want one that fits your wrist comfortably. When it comes to something like the Cartier Love bracelet, even though it's not something I am a fan of, I have to give credit where credit is due. It does come in an extensive size range, which means that you can find one that will sit really comfortably on your wrist. The same cannot be said about the Kelly bangle because I think that is only available in 4 sizes. And I also don't like how the twist closure constantly gets stuck on things, and when it gets stuck on something, it will pull on your wrist and it can cut into your skin, which is just not the most pleasant or the most luxurious experience. It comes in 3 different shades of gold, so you can pick up the original Kelly bangle in rose gold, yellow gold, and white gold. With either, I think it doesn't come without diamonds. Even the most plain version features 4 diamonds in place of the studs on the Sango. So I think that one starts at $9,700 at this point in yellow and rose gold. And then the white gold version is slightly more expensive. I think that's just over $10,000. And then if you would like a little bit more sparkle, you can also pick it up in a version where the entire Sango, the hardware plate, is covered in 61 diamonds. That will set you back just under $17,000. And then they of course have the full pavé version. I'm not a fan of the original Kelly bangle. I would probably try to steer you in the direction of the Kelly chain or the Kelly bracelet that comes with a thicker, almost Cuban style chain. I think it's called the Kelly Gourmet. Those are 2 that I appreciate more and I find a lot more comfortable than the original bangle. And this piece is the perfect one to end this video with, because if there is a piece that requires acquired taste, this is it, which someone just said the globe. So I assume they're referring to the Odyssey globe because Hermes offers 2 different types of globes. They have the Odyssey 24 globe, which bears a map of the Earth. And then they also have the Apollo 24 globe, which has basically the starry sky and different constellations depicted on it. They are both over 22,000 euros at this point, and they are floating in this gold-plated ring. The globe themselves are handmade in Germany by heritage map makers, by hand of course, and the maps are printed onto Swift leather. So you have the Odyssey version, which as I mentioned is supposed to depict the map of the Earth, which is slightly more neutral in color, and then you have the Apollo one, which is navy blue because it pays homage to the starry sky. Both of these are handmade, and to be really honest with you, these are some of my favorite creations from Hermes. Would I ever spend over 22,000 euros on these? I do not think so. I mean, even if money is no object, it is way too much money to spend on something like this, especially considering that you can find this particular piece for a fraction of the price on the pre-loved market and at auction houses. When I looked this morning, I found this piece for exactly half the price at the real. So if it's really something that you want to add to your collection, be patient because you can get these with a pretty hefty discount and you don't have to get them directly from Hermes. Not to say that you shouldn't spend this money at Hermes if you have a real appreciation for the brand, but there are pieces out there that you cannot ever find on sale, whereas this is something that I've seen pop up periodically at different auction houses. I assume because people believed that this would be their golden ticket to get their dream bag, and it either didn't work out as they had hoped, or they bought it, got their bag, and then they realized it's not actually something that they want in their home collecting dust, and they got rid of it. So this is truly for the Hermes connoisseur, the Hermes collector. And even if you're an Hermes connoisseur, I don't think this is the first thing that would come to mind to buy from the brand. But if you love the look of it, because I have to tell you, I've seen this piece many of times and it is truly like a piece of art. You can get this floating globe for a much better price on the pre-loved market, and then this money that you would spend on this piece could go towards something that you know will never pop up at an auction house. But this actually brings us to the end of today's video, discussing all the Hermes pieces that people believe to be the magic key to a quota bag. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on these pieces, and if there are any other Hermes pieces that you've heard of people buying purely to get their hands on a Birkin or a Kelly. I cannot wait to hear from you in the comments section. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I will see you back here with a new video really soon.